What I see is that there are three sorts of meditation students. There's beginners, and I'd say you're probably a beginner. Depends on the individual, really. Probably looking at a year, 18 months. We're still in the beginners. Very overall, everybody's different. Some people take to it like a duck to water. Other people, it's a bit of a grind. And then we have returners. These are people who have meditated and then have let their meditation practice slip for whatever reason, and then they come back, or it might not just be as strong as they'd like it to be, and then they come back. And then I've got what I call committed meditators, who are people that meditate reasonably regularly. So what seems to happen, most meditators come to meditation not out of choice. What happens is that they're experiencing some sort of struggle. That could be anything. Yes, it could be mental health issues, but it could also be trying to deal with the difficult world. That's why the majority of people start. There's other groups, some people, because it's part of their religious practices. Yeah, so if you become a Buddhist, for example, you will learn to meditate. And same with various other spiritual practices, traditions. And then there's another group that's just curious. And there's another group that are doing meditation because it's a performance enhancement. They've got a goal. They want to achieve that goal. They want to enlist their mind in that goal. And they discover in a conflict, or they might experience things like procrastination or perfectionism or whatever it might happen to be. And then that becomes I want better performance, focus, calmness, whatever it happens to be, out of meditation. The majority of people, because it's essentially now being prescribed through things like social prescription as a mental health intervention, the majority of people, because they're feeling anxious, stressed, worried, so on. So that's why people start. Why people drift away, when they come back, and a lot of people come back, this is what I call the returners. They say to me that they're returning because they gained benefits, they let their practice slip, and usually what that means is life gets in the way. So I don't think once you've experienced the benefit from something that you would actively let go of that if you could avoid it. But it is a struggle in a lot of people's lives to find the time to meditate and maintain a motivated commitment to meditate. And so that struggle's there. And then there are a lot of other things that people are doing for their well-being. For instance, they might be doing exercise, they might be doing social connection, they might be engaged in some charitable enterprise, helping people out, supporting and they've got all the other stuff. Charity begins at home, they're supporting their friends, their family, and so on. It just becomes too much. And so it's very easy for the meditation to be what drops out. I'm quite focused in this area at the moment. I did a podcast a little while back, Mindfulness Without Meditation, which was basically a way of helping people to find those things that they can do that will enable them to meditate and enable them to experience mindfulness and maintain a practice without actually having to sit down, find the wherewithal to sit down half an hour a day, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, however long you happen to do that. And I'll continue on that quest of perfecting a frictionless meditation practice. Part of that, I don't know if you remember, if you attended there, I'm pretty confident it's on the website as a recording as well. I'll check while we're chatting. And so I find it difficult to maintain a practice. One of the things that happens there that makes it difficult, that I believe I can provide a little bit of advice and guidance in, is this. And that is, there's a tendency for us to fall into a habit of a practice. So when I sit down, I meditate, I do my counting the breaths, then I do following the breath, or whatever it might happen to be. There is a tendency for us to then expect to go back to that all the time. And I don't think that we necessarily do. Let's say, for example, your practice slips and you want to return to the practice. It's quite possible that when you do, you'll return to something different. So this is one of the big advantages of the wide variety of meditations that I teach. You never know when you might have to pick from a selection of meditations. In this area, there are a lot of meditation teachers who say you must do this meditation. Following the breath is the usual one, and I can see why they do that. But I think that ultimately it has to be up to the meditator. And I also believe that it's a trial and error process of finding what works for you. But as well as that, your mind changes and your capacity to focus changes, what you focus on, all these things. So it's really good to have a wide variety of practices. So that's the returners, and that's a little bit of insight into that process of drifting away from the practice and then returning to it. I think most people do that. I don't think there are many people who engage in meditation practice, do it every morning, do the same practice, do it every day for the rest of their lives. I think that most of us, either our practice slips or our practice changes. And it should change. It's ideal if it changes, because you're then growing as a meditator, learning new techniques and developing new skills. And then the most committed meditators, I think they found the frictionless path, the easy path for their mind, whatever their mind happens to be. And this is another area I spend a lot of time focusing on. I teach things like the meditation of no meditation for the breath and for the sound. And these are frictionless practices that pretty much everybody can engage in and find it easy and simple. One of the things that I hear is that, this is especially from in-person meditation students, is they say, when I come to the group, I can do this, but when I'm at home, it doesn't work out when I'm doing it on my own. The difference between your meditation practice in a group and alone, for a reasonably new meditator, your best meditations will be in a group. And quite how great that difference is depends on you. It's nothing that you can do about it. You might be a natural group meditator. The next best option is group meditation online. There is definitely something happening in the mind that makes meditation frictionless when you're meditating online, as you all know, which is why you're all here. Okay. Yeah. And so that, I think that the committed meditators, the ones that have been doing it for a few years and doesn't look like they're going to drop their practice at any point, what they've done is they've found the frictionless way. And that's what we all need to be looking for. That's why I teach what I teach the way I teach it. And so here's a frictionless way into meditation. And it consists of noticing the sound of the bell as it moves through time, which is not a meditation at all. Or is it? Of course, it's a meditation. Helps us to focus our mind on the experience of the present moment. As does sound passing through time, as does the movement of the belly, rising and falling, as does the gentle awareness of the sensory experience of the present moment. So if we notice time passing with the breath, for example, we're connected to, plugged into the passage of time. There's the sound of cars or airplanes or birds or traffic or people or my voice or whatever it is, and that's passing through time as well. So we're then connected to the flow of life. As it passes through time. So if you connect to your physiology, the sensory experience of the body, the coolness or warmth or alertness or tiredness or comfort or discomfort, or tension or relaxation on the feelings that you're getting back from your body. There's a sense that it's all moving through time as well. Especially if we're aware of the breath. Ideally in the belly, rising and falling. And we can witness this experience of now the totality of it, the smells and tastes and sounds, the breath, and the sensations from the body, and balance, and awareness of where we are in the room, and awareness of where our body is, where our arms and legs and feet are, and that entire experience. We can make that a very light awareness. And remember, we're using the breath in the belly, rising and falling, as the marker of the passage of time. This is quite close to a meditation practice that most people refer to as just sitting. No particular intention, definitely no goals, no explanations. There is the breath, we're aware of the breath. But that's just part of our experience. And we're also aware of all the other sensory experience of now. So just practice this for the next few minutes, just sitting. Doesn't matter how busy the mind gets, how intensive the thoughts become, how much your mind wanders. Just gently, patiently return your attention to the breath and the experience of now. And what we can do now is add an element to the mix by noting the breath rising and falling. As the belly rises, saying in the mind rising, as the belly falls, falling. Rising, falling. We can add a different mantra to the breath if we wish. There are some that are specifically related to the breath. And this one's called Tonglen. There's two ways of doing this. The way I do it is as you breathe in, saying in the mind, breathe in fear. As you breathe out, saying in the mind, breathe out love. Breathe in fear. Breathe out love. You can swap it round if you wish. Breathe in love. Breathe out fear. What I do is breathe in fear. Breathe out love. Tonglen. Practice this for a couple of minutes. Breathe in fear. Breathe out love. And gently back to just awareness of the breath rising and falling. Allow the mind to be free. The mind can chatter away as much as it wishes, have whatever thoughts it wishes. And we're just connected to the breath, aware of the rising and falling of the breath. And then, as soon as we're ready, when thoughts arise, we note those thoughts. Breathing out the thought. And as you breathe it out through the nostrils, it can be whichever colour you want it to be, if you're a visual person. And in any case, you're saying in your mind as you breathe out, thinking, thinking. Back to an awareness of the breath. We're not pushing back on thought, trying to silence the mind or any such. When thought does arise, we're breathing out, saying in the mind, thinking, thinking. And now noticing the breath in the nostrils. The cool, sharp in-breath. And the warm, relaxing out-breath. And just focusing on that sensation, the coolness and warmth. rising and falling. Noticing the movement of sounds through time. And the sound of the bell through time. And whenever you're ready, just gently return your attention to your surroundings. So that was the first meditation, just sitting. That's the one that we want to make as frictionless as possible. It may or may not be for you. All depends on your mind's busyness, what's going on in your life, other things. And then noting the breath is a way of finding the thoughts and using them. So we're using our inner dialogue. And the idea is if we're using the inner dialogue, it can't be chattering away. So you want to extract that inner dialogue. Whichever voice it is that does the chattering, that's the one that you use for noting. And then Tonglen, traditional Buddhist meditation. And then noting thought on the out breath. They're all reasonably frictionless. Everybody's different. Some people prefer more inner dialogue activity, counting the breath, things like that. But it's just like I said, it's just a matter of trial and error to find out what works for you, to find your frictionless way.